Hello and welcome to a new video. Today I'm going to be doing a one-take wrap-up for the books that I read in September. So this video is coming a couple weeks late because at the beginning of October I had my wisdom teeth out and did not have the energy or the ability to talk enough to film my wrap-up for September. So I'm going to go ahead and get into it. In case you've never seen a one-take wrap-up on my channel, basically it is me telling you the books I read in the month, but not editing the video because I hate editing. Anyway, let's get into it. What did I read in September? So, the first book that I finished was a reread of Chamber of Secrets. My friend and I are rereading the series together. She's reading it for the first time. I'm just doing a reread for fun. So, it was great. I had a lot of fun. I listened to the audiobook. I love the audiobooks for Harry Potter. Jim Dale does an incredible job narrating. So, that was a lot of fun. Next, I read Good Girl, Bad Blood by Holly Jackson. This one I did really enjoy. It definitely had a different vibe than the first one, but it still was really enjoyable to read. It was stressful. The first one was stressful, but this one was way more stressful. But I did enjoy it. I really like the relationship between Pip and Ravi. That's probably my favorite part of this series. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I have a lot to say about that series, and we'll get to that in a minute. But that one I enjoyed. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. I really liked the story that it approached. And the ending, while incredibly violent, was very interesting and really sad to read. And I liked the balance of like what makes, like, this question of like what makes someone evil and what is just circumstances. So that was a really interesting part to read. Next, I reread The Lightning Thief. See, one take, I don't even care. The Lightning Thief by Rick Riordan. I obviously loved this one. It was a really fun reread. In case you did not know, I'm doing a reread of all of the Percy Jackson books and doing reviews over on my Instagram. That'll be linked down below. I loved this one. It was so much fun. There's so much of this original series that I'm realizing that I do not like remember. And it's been really fun like rediscovering a lot of that story. I love Percy. Everything, like all of my love for reading, I owe to Percy Jackson. That was the first big series that I read. Like a lot of people will kind of chalk up their love of reading to Harry Potter, and don't get me wrong, I obviously love Harry Potter, but Percy Jackson was the first series that I read, and I just really, I've got such a soft place in my heart for it, and I do plan on getting a Percy Jackson tattoo at some point soon. But anyway, that's beside the point. Loved it. 5 out of 5 stars, obviously. Next, I read The Ex-Hex by Erin Sterling, and this book, I went in with really high hopes, and it actually ended up being a very like mid book. I didn't hate it, that was not the issue, but I definitely did not love it as much as I thought I was going to. It has such a high potential, I feel like, in what the story is set up to be. And it was just very much like not memorable. Like at this point, it's only been a couple weeks or months since I read this book. I could not tell you the characters' names. I could not tell you hardly what the story was about. Like, it just was not memorable. The characters did not have enough chemistry for me. The characters just weren't very three-dimensional. Like, I didn't hate it. It was not that it was uninteresting. It just was not something that I am going to, like, list as a favorite book or love forever. So, I think I gave it a 3 stars. I think I rated it as 4 on Goodreads, but I think it was like a 3.5 in my review. Next, I read As Good as Dead by Holly Jackson. This is the third book in A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. What can I say about this book? I did a pretty long review on Instagram of like me talking to Instagram stories, because this book I can actually say with a pretty strong opinion that I hated this book. But the reason I'm so conflicted is I still love the characters of Pip and Ravi, because, you know, they're the main characters, and I like everyone else too, and I like the concept of the story and of the characters, but what the absolute hell was this book? Who was Holly Jackson possessed when she wrote this? Like, I will never understand what led her to write this book, because the other two, while are really scary, like the mystery is high stakes, it's a lot of fun, this takes it to a level I will never understand. Now let's kind of backtrack here. The first half or so of the book I did enjoy. It was very stressful and like really high anticipation, but like I was like, oh, this is interesting. So in the first two books we have this girl who inserts herself into these stories to solve the mystery, and in this one she is at the hands of the mystery. That's really interesting. I really liked that. In the case of like her being stalked, and then we just took it 15 steps too far, and I feel like I should have been warned as to what was in this book. And I'm not talking about, like, I did have a friend who gave me all the trigger warnings for the book. I don't mean that. I mean the author should have advertised what this book was and how different it was to the previous two. This book also, I'm sorry, like, I'm not usually a very big stickler for YA versus adult. Like, it really doesn't matter to me in a lot of series, but like this is not a young adult book. If a 15-year-old picked up this book, I would be so concerned. Anyway, so I just feel like I was given a book that was much different than the other two and what I presumed I was getting myself into. But it was also an issue of, like, I wanted to finish because I wanted to know what happens to these characters I've spent the last, 800 pages with between the other two books that I really liked. And oh my god, I just really hated this book so much. I didn't give it a rating because I just have so many like issues with it, and not just like I didn't enjoy it issue of it's like words like I just genuinely feel wronged by this book. That sounds dramatic, but like I don't understand where she was going with this. I don't understand why she wrote this. I don't understand why she ruined the characters that I fell in love with in the other two books. And also just the experience of reading everything that Pip does in this one, and Ravi, like just the manipulation of, it's a spoiler kind of, but like of the body that they are working with, the dead body. There's a lot of discussion of a dead body in this book. Was very, very disturbing, and I do not read disturbing books. Mysteries, sure, fine, but I there's a difference between solving a mystery and it being straight up like horror disturbing. And I felt really uncomfortable. I am someone who, like, with my own experiences with dead bodies, I am a nurse, and I have that experience. I didn't like the way that it approached it in this book. I just think with the bare bones of the story that were there could have been a much different story for Pip told that would have been just as exciting but better, and didn't do such a disservice not only to the reader but to the character of Pip. Like, I just don't understand why she did this to the characters she just spent the last couple of years writing and letting everyone fall in love with. So I have a lot of thoughts about that one. I didn't like it, and that's that. Anyway, let's move on to something a little more pleasant. As a palette cleanser, so to say, I read Delilah Green Doesn't Care by Ashley Herring Blake next. That was my September book club pick of the month. In case you didn't know, I started a book club on my Instagram. I really enjoyed this one. It wasn't like a end-all be-all romance for me. Like, it's not something I'm going to obsess with like over the years. like Joanna Shupe or something. Like, I really enjoyed it. It just wasn't an all-time favorite. I really, really liked, why am I completely forgetting her name? Whatever, the love interest's name. I really liked her. Not Delilah, but the other one, Claire. I really liked Claire. I thought she was a very interesting character, very three-dimensional. She's a single parent, learning to kind of like co-parent with her ex and just like navigating being a business owner, all that. I thought she was very interesting. The character I actually struggled with a little bit was Delilah Green. In the end, I really liked their relationship and I think it worked out really well. I just think Delilah Green was a little bit more two-dimensional, and in my book club, this is kind of what we all spoke about, and I wasn't the only one that felt this way, that Delilah Green just kind of, she made a lot of decisions that I was like, would a real grown adult woman act like this? She was just kind of petty and kind of like her motivation wasn't super clear. But in general, I did really enjoy the book. I still gave it a 5 stars because why not? So it was, at the very least, it was a good book to read after that previous shit show. So next, let's move on to another book that was great to read after Thou That Shall Not Be Named. Anyway, Twilight by Stephenie Meyer. I did a reread. So I'm in multiple book clubs because I'm crazy. And a couple IRL friends and I decided to do like a cute little book clubby thing. And neither of them have ever read Twilight, so we decided to pick up Twilight. So I did a reread. I read my annotated copy that I annotated a couple years back. And it was just so much fun. I love Twilight. I mean, who doesn't love Twilight? It's fantastic. Bella, Edward. I love getting to see other people experience book Edward for the first time. It's so different than movie Edward, so I'm having a lot of fun. Obviously, I love Twilight. What's new? Lastly, the last book I read in the month of September is Romancing the Duke by Tessa Dare. It has been so long since I've read a historical romance, and I kind of just picked this one up randomly, and I am so glad that I did. It has like completely revitalized my love for historical romance. I loved this one so much. I mean, it's Tessa Dare. Who does not love Tessa Dare? If you ever like want to read a historical romance and it like you haven't read anything in the genre before, this is the one to do it with, because she makes it so easy to just fall into the story. I absolutely loved it. This is about a girl. It's just such a funny like premise to the story too. It's kind of a Beauty and the Beast retelling, sort of, where she comes to this castle because she thinks that she has inherited the castle, and she finds there is somebody living there, and she's like, hey, this is my castle, you need to leave. And he's like, this is my castle, you need to not be here. And obviously they fall in love, and it's fantastic. They work together to save the castle / figure out who owns it, but in the end it doesn't matter because they get married and like they fall in love and they own the castle together and they live there together and happily ever after, and I love it. I love every moment of it. There's also such like hilarious scenes because this main character, Izzy, she is the daughter of a famed author, and these stories have like really wild fan bases, to the point where these people like essentially like old-timey English version of LARPing these characters, and it's so funny because the Duke is like, what is going on? Why are these people dressed up like it's medieval times? Why are they talking to me? It's fantastic. I loved it. I had so much fun. It was the perfect book to end the month on and just to revitalize my love for romance, for historical romance, for reading in general, because As Good as Dead really put a just put a dark taste on everything. And anyway, I loved it. It was so much fun. So yeah, those are all the books I read in September. Check back in next month to see what I read in October. And yeah, I upload videos. Whenever I upload videos, BookTube and Disney content, I will have a Disney vlog coming in the next 3-ish weeks. I go next month, so you'll see it sometime next month. And I'm so excited. In case you didn't notice, if you're not obsessed with like camera quality like I am, I got a new camera and I'm so excited. I have some vlogs coming, I have a recommendation video coming, and I'm just so excited because it's all going to be on this nice quality camera that like focuses as I move, and it just makes me really, really excited. So I hope you enjoyed. Like, share, subscribe, and all that fun stuff, and I will talk to you guys next time. Bye!